Hi there, it's Natalie, your wellness consultant, and welcome to another episode of Wellness with Wisdom. Today we're talking about a subject seldom discussed at dinner hour or cocktail parties: healthy bowel movements, or simply constipation. It's a critically important subject with wide-ranging impact on our health and on our well-being. So let's talk about the perfect poop. Before we dive in, here's my friendly reminder. The information we provide is not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment. Please consult your medical care provider before using herbal medicine, particularly if you have a known medical condition or if you are pregnant or nursing. If you are worried about any health condition, it is always advisable to have a face-to-face consultation with a qualified healthcare practitioner in order to obtain a diagnosis and treatment advice. What exactly is constipation? Well, you'll hear several different definitions of this particular health issue. So from allopathic medicine, or the standard medical definition according to the Mayo Clinic, chronic constipation is infrequent bowel movements or difficult passage of stools that persists for several weeks or longer. Constipation is generally described as having fewer than 3 bowel movements a week. Now, in natural or traditional medicine, we have smaller boundaries. In a perfect world, one should have 1 bowel movement for every major meal. However, it is considered to be healthy and consistent if there is at least 1 bowel movement per day. Now, moving on to some of the symptoms for constipation, and they may include one or more of the following: reduced stool frequency, lumpy or hard stool consistency, difficulty passing stool or straining, the sensation of incomplete evacuation. So in other words, you've gone to the bathroom, you've had a bowel movement, and you just feel like you've not really done yet, so you haven't completely cleared your bowels. And then finally, abdominal pain or cramping associated with defecation. Even though you may be having at least 1 bowel movement a day, you should still pay close attention to the consistency of your stool, because this will indicate imbalance in your bowel health. So you need to be aware of what it should look like. Now, if you need some visual guidance, you can Google Bristol stool chart. So B as in Bob, R as in Raymond, I, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, O, L as in Larry. The Bristol stool chart. And this will provide you with images of constipation and healthy bowel movements, as well as everything in between. And don't worry, they're using drawings, not photos, so it's not horrifying to look at. So next, we're going to talk about the different colors of bowel movements and what they may mean. So what color should your stool be, and what could it mean when you see different colors? While brown stool is considered the normal color of poop, some greenish brown shades may also be acceptable. Poop can be other colors too, such as black. Now, stools that are black, especially if they have the appearance of coffee grounds, suggests gastrointestinal bleeding. And substances such as iron supplements, black licorice, black stout, and bismuth medications, so those are medications for diarrhea, may also cause your stool to become black. White. Now, if stools are white, grey, or pale, a person may have an issue with liver or gallbladder, as pale stools suggest a lack of bile. And some anti-diarrhea medications can also cause white stool. Next is green. So spinach, kale, or other green foods can cause green poop. However, green colored stool may be a sign that there is too much bile and not enough bilirubin in the poop, so it can be a gallbladder liver issue. Red. So poop that is red colored may be the result of gastrointestinal bleeding. Small amounts of blood in the stool can also indicate hemorrhoids. Eating beets or red berries or drinking beet or tomato juice also turns your poop red. once these foods have passed through the digestive tract, though, the poop should become brown again. Next color would be orange. Consuming many orange-colored foods, which are rich in a pigment called beta-carotene, causes orange stool. Carrots, sweet potatoes, and winter squash are among the many foods that contain this pigment. However, blocked bile ducts or certain medications, including some antacids and an antibiotic called rifampin, can cause orange poop. Alright, so keep that in mind. Next, yellow. I'm going through the whole rainbow here. If stool appears yellow or is greasy looking, it suggests the poop contains too much fat. This may be the result of absorption issues or difficulty producing enzymes or bile. So again, back to your pancreas perhaps, or your gallbladder. So most people will experience variations in stool color at some stage. Usually this is down to diet or some other minor cause. However, anyone who experiences change in poop color that lasts for 2 or more weeks or has red or black stool should really go and see their healthcare practitioner. How do we find a way back to the healthy balance for our bowels? Well, I'm going to start with some simple dietary and lifestyle suggestions, and in the next segment we will talk about treating more acute symptoms naturally, of course. So, common causes of constipation. Number 1, dehydration. We all know we need water for daily life. It's necessary for general health, especially when it's hotter and as you perspire and lose more water. In the winter time, the heating systems are very dehydrating indoors as well. If you are dehydrated, the body may not have enough fluid for proper intestinal transit, so we need water for healthy bowel movement. Okay. Number 2, electrolyte imbalance. So minerals are critical for the muscle function of the intestines. They need it for contraction and relaxation. Calcium aids in contraction and magnesium aids in relaxation. The intestines may be more likely to constrict rather than relax if your diet contains an imbalance of these combinations, such as an excess of dairy, almond, pistachios, broccoli, or green leafy vegetables. Yes, there is such a thing as too much superfood kale, which has more calcium than magnesium in it. However, there is more potassium than sodium in kale. So kale is going to give you that calcium-rich diet versus magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens like arugula, spinach, Swiss chard, seeds, tahini, summer squash, okra, salmon, cacao. Additionally, sodium versus potassium levels will affect hydration levels. A potassium deficiency and a sodium-rich diet, for example, processed foods, soups, sauces, soda, pickled and cured foods like hot dogs, jerky, and of course adding salt may also lead to dehydration. Number 3, lack of fiber in the diet. Typically, people do not take enough fiber. So according to the North American guidelines, there was an observation that was made, and the average daily intake is 16 grams a day, which is almost half the recommended intake. So we need 30 or more grams of fiber every single day in order to have healthy bowel movements, amongst other things. More than 70% of the population do not consume fruits or vegetables, which are a great source of fiber at the recommended daily intake. Furthermore, the majority of people overconsume saturated fat, added sugars, and sodium, all of which may contribute to imbalances in overall digestive process. And fiber is known to add bulk to the intestinal contents, promoting flow through the intestines. That's the movement that occurs from high to low pressure areas. So fiber. Next, number 4 on our list of common causes of constipation is lack of exercise. In North America, approximately 80% of adults fail to meet recommended physical activity guidelines, which may be a common reason for constipation. Exercising promotes blood flow and overall activity in the body, placing further demands on energy expenditure. The additional movement can promote the activity of the intestinal wall as well. Why would your body want to hold on to extra weight in the intestines if you're moving? It's just like having all that junk in the trunk of your car. You'll move faster without it. So get up and get moving, and you can get your bowels moving too. And lastly, number 5, supplements and medications. Certain vitamins and minerals can impact bowel motility. For instance, iron supplements can contribute to constipation, whereas concurrent intake of vitamin C, so taking your vitamin C along with your iron, may help with the absorption of the iron and then minimizing its ability to cause constipation. Also, certain drugs can also cause constipation. So check the labels of your medications or ask your healthcare provider if you're taking a medication that can cause constipation, and then look for some advice as to what you can do to mitigate those side effects. Let's discuss natural stimulant laxatives next. So, even though the laxatives we are discussing are natural, that does not mean that we do not need to mind precautions and consider side effects. Any stimulant laxative, if overused, provides side effects. The principle of these is habituation. So getting used to the remedy, having the remedy lose its effect over time, and then having to resort to stronger and stronger stimulant laxatives to achieve their desired effect. Another common concern would be also malabsorption of nutrients. So increasing motility or speeding up bowel clearance can actually reduce the time the body has to absorb nutrients from food, or even reduce the efficacy of certain medications. So please be mindful of this and discuss the use of laxatives, herbal or otherwise, with your healthcare practitioner. Okay, more on this later. Here is the short list of the most commonly used effective natural laxative options. Number 1 on the list is senna. The botanical name is Senna alexandrina. So senna works by stimulating the nerve endings in the walls of the large bowel, colon, and the rectum. This makes the muscles in the bowel wall contract more often and with increased force, which moves the stool through the colon to the rectum so that the bowel can be fully emptied. Now, please keep in mind that this herbal may cause cramping, and in some cases, if the dose is too high, diarrhea. So start slowly. If you're using tea, steep it for a short period of time. If you're using capsules, maybe start with 1 instead of 2. It takes about 8 hours to work its way through your system, so this one's a good idea to take at night, okay? And then by the time you wake up in the morning, you should have a bowel movement. But remember, not at the same time as any medications you may be using. Next, number 2 on my list is a mineral, magnesium, and a version of magnesium called magnesium hydroxide. It's used to treat occasional constipation in children and adults on a short-term basis. So magnesium hydroxide is in a class of medications called saline laxatives. It works by causing water to be retained with the stool. So by drawing more water into the bowel, the stool becomes softened and evacuation of the bowel becomes easier. Okay, so this is a more gentle one and less likely to cause cramping because it's not stimulating the wall of the bowel. Number 3 is triphala. Now, this is actually a combo. It's called a polyherbal formulation. And these types of formulations are really popularly used in Ayurvedic medicine. It's a traditional medicine that emphasizes disease prevention and health promotion, and it comes from South Asia. So in South Asia, it's believed that these combinations or these polyherbal formulas combined together are synergistic. So these herbs work in concert, they work together, and then the results are extra therapeutic efficacy, and it's more powerful as a treatment option than any one single component taken alone. So in the case of triphala, there are 3 ingredients in the triphala formula. One is called amla. The botanical name for amla is Umbilica officinalis. The second herbal is bibhitaki, which is Terminalia ballerica. And then the third one is haritaki, which is Terminala cebula. This is a more gentle laxative than the senna, so it's less likely to cause digestive discomfort or distress. And it's also, as an aside, known to be very beneficial for the reduction of gas as well as bloating, so it can help to reduce some of the discomfort, the digestive discomfort that comes along with constipation. Number 4 is a herb called Cascara Sagrada, and the botanical name for that one is Rhamnus persiana. So, the anthraquinones contained in the bark, so this is the bark of the tree that we're using, inhibits the absorption of water and electrolytes in the intestines. And because of this, the stool volume increases as it absorbs the excess water, which then increases pressure within the intestine. So this stimulates muscle contraction in the colon, all right, and that's called peristalsis, that contraction, and that helps to speed the clearance of the bowel. And again, Cascara Sagrada is less of a stimulant laxative than senna, so yes, it is more gentle, and you're less likely to have discomfort with that one. Now next, we will discuss some options to support healthy bowel and regular, consistent bowel movements. How can we use natural remedies to treat chronic constipation and limit the use of laxatives? Yes, laxatives do absolutely provide us with quick relief, but we do need to work towards helping the body to eliminate naturally without aid. So besides the malabsorption of nutrients and habituation to laxatives, there's also bowel impaction to consider. So as the bowel becomes weakened with the overuse of laxatives, it may become filled with hardened, unexpelled stool, which creates a physical blockage, and in some extreme cases requires surgery to clear the blockage, and in some cases remove portions of the damaged bowel as well. So what can we do to help ourselves to get off of the laxatives and help our bodies to do the work? Well, I'm going to give you a suggestion, a list of 4 items, and I'd like you to consider using them together. Number 1 is fiber. So adding in additional fiber. Flax, psyllium, chia, they provide bulk along with vegetable fiber. Psyllium fiber does require a very large intake of water at the time that you're taking the psyllium, not counting any additional water that you're drinking during the day to keep hydrated. So if you're not one to drink large quantities of water, you may want to reconsider psyllium, because psyllium really needs that water in order for it to sort of gel up in your digestive system. It creates this gel, and then this gel helps to soften stool, and it creates that bulk that you need to get the bowel moving. So as an alternative to psyllium, I sometimes recommend flax or chia, because they will provide bulk, but they don't require as much of the water intake that the psyllium does. Okay. Number 2 are probiotics. And I'm just going to mention very specifically a particular family of probiotics. So there's lots of different family members in the probiotic category. Lactobacillus acidophilus is usually the probiotics that live in the small intestine and the upper portion of the intestinal tract. Bifidobacterium is the family of probiotics that live in the larger, lower portion of your large bowel into your colon. And so those probiotics are the probiotics that are going to impact your bowel health. So when you go and purchase a probiotic supplement, you really want to see a formula that is heavy on the bifidobacterium, not just, in isolation. I mean, you should absolutely have some of the lactobacillus family members in there as well, but you really want to see a much higher concentration of the bifidobacterium. Okay, number 3 on my list of essential nutrients for constipation for daily use are herbal bitters. So they stimulate the digestive process, and they also help with relieving gas and bloating. Now, herbal bitters come in a liquid form. They're mildly bitter, so it's not going to kill you if you take it. It's a short shot of bitters before each meal. So what they do for you is they wake up the digestive system from your mouth to your rectum, to your colon. So having the bitters right before you eat is going to help you with efficiency in digesting, absorbing nutrients, and then consistent use of bitters also supports your probiotics. So if you're going to have good healthy bacteria in your gut, you're going to have good absorption of nutrients as well as healthier elimination. In the short term, bitters are really good if you feel nauseous. They're really great for, as I mentioned before, gas and bloating, and they give you quick relief for the gas and bloating. But try and take them at least before your largest meals, and ideally before every meal. Just before, like 5 minutes. You don't have to wait a long time and then eat. Just take your shot of bitters and then start eating. And then number 4 on my list of essential foods or supplements for treating constipation are fermented foods. So they, if you traditionally don't have a lot of fermented food in your diet, if you don't like it, there are supplements out there that are fermented. There are green food supplements out there that are fermented. And these fermented foods do a couple of things. They help to alkalize or lower the inflammation in your body, and especially in your gut. And the fermented foods are also going to help with feeding your friendly bacteria. So again, they're promoting gut health. I've had a lot of success using fermented green food supplements for people who have chronic constipation. So it is quite helpful. And in fact, there are formulas that use fermented dark green leafy vegetables as part of the formula. So you're getting that additional pH balance, or that lowering of the inflammation in your digestive system. So do try and incorporate that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, hydration and exercise play a crucial role in conjunction with these 4 items. All things considered, okay, this will take time and it'll take patience. And remember that you will need to be weaned off of your laxative use. You need to gradually reduce the intake of laxative as you increase the use of the remedies I've just mentioned. So don't stop cold turkey if you're used to using laxatives. Do it gradually. And understand that chronic constipation, it's a chronic condition. It's not going to resolve in the short term. We're looking at the long term here. We want to gradually improve your bowel health to the point where you have little to no need of laxatives. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I will be happy to respond in further detail. Keep in mind that you can also find me on my YouTube channel, Wellness with Wisdom, or on Instagram at wellnesswith_wisdom. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to have a listen to this broadcast. Please do remember to practice patience, practice compassion, and
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and yes, hit that notification bell so you'll know when next I post new videos. Have a wonderful day and keep well.